Shane has a balance on his credit card of $212.45. He writes a check for $165, and what that means is he's writing a check to the credit card company for $165, thereby lowering the amount that he owes on that credit card. So the operation we're going to perform here is going to be subtraction. And so basically what we're going to do here is say $212.45 minus $165.45. And when you subtract that out, what you're going to end up with bring your decimal down. I got to make that a 12 and make this a 7 down here. This is going to make that 0, and we're going to turn that into a 10, make that a 4. This will have been turned into a 1, and we've got 0 down here, $47. Which of the following can be added to 2/3 to get the sum of 0? Adding a negative is the same thing as subtracting that number. So if I were to say something like 4 plus a negative 4, that equals 0. So basically, anytime you add the opposite of something, and the opposite of 4 is negative 4, we're going to get 0. Well, what is the opposite of 2/3? It's negative 2/3, which is choice B. Okay. Now here, Jamie is 20 feet above the surface of the water. A shark is 10 feet below the surface of the water. How far apart are the shark and Jamie? This is a great example for you to either draw a picture. You can draw the surface of the water. Jamie is 20 feet above, and the shark is 10 feet below. How far apart are they? In other words, how far would you have to travel from here to here? You would literally have to travel 30 feet. Or you could do it mathematically and say the distance between the two. The difference is always subtraction, so you're going to say 20 minus the elevation of the shark, which is negative 10. And we've taught you in class that adding or subtracting a negative is the same thing as adding. So the answer would be 30, choice D. Four, Anthony got on an elevator at the 5th floor. This is an example of a question where we're going to have to just write out a number sentence. So we got on the elevator at the 5th floor, then went up 6 floors, then came down 9 floors, and then went back up another 6 floors. What floor did he exit? 5 plus 6 is 11, minus 9 is 2, plus 6 equals 8. The answer is the 8th floor. So just write out a number sentence, whatever it tells you, and that'll be your answer once you've done the math. Which expression is equal to 12? Well, basically what I'm going to have to do here is factor this, or excuse me, not factor, but distribute this 4 throughout. Or I could simply solve what's inside the parentheses first because I don't have any variables. And let's just try A. This is one of those where we're going to have to try all 4 of them to get the correct answer. Let's try A. So 4 times what? 4 times 5, because 3 plus 2 is 5. That's 20. So A is not the answer. And you would do that for B, C, and D. But let's take a look at C. You got to be careful because you got positive and negatives here. So I've got negative 1/2 times what? What is negative 28 plus 4? It's actually negative 24. If you're having a hard time with that, you need to watch video 1 and video A that talks to you about multiplying, adding, subtracting, and dividing positive and negative numbers. So what is 1/2 times 24? We know that the answer is going to be positive because we're multiplying a negative times a negative, so the answer will be positive. This is the same thing as 1/2 times 24 over 1, which is 24 over 2, which is 12. And we know the answer is positive. The answer is 12, which is the same as this answer. So the answer will be C. In this circumstance, you're going to have to try all 4 answers. You need to work it out first in most cases, but this is one of those cases where you're going to have to try all 4. excuse me, what fractions are equivalent to the opposite of or the negative of 3/4? Sorry, 3/5. The answer is going to be negative 3 over 5 and 3 over a negative 5, because both of these divided out will give us a negative 0.6. The answer is both A and B. You're going to have to forgive me. I'm going to be sneezing a lot because I've got something. So forgive me. We skipped number 7 and went on to number 8. Bless me. Sorry about that. Which is equivalent to 1 and 5/8. Well, we know that it's going to be 1 point something, because that's what this means right here. So it's not this, and it's not this right here. Okay. If you haven't memorized the decimal equivalent to 5/8, you simply have to divide 5 by 8. Remember, the top dog goes in the house. You have to add your decimals like so. Oh, I'm sorry. 8 will not go into 5, but it will go into 50 about 6 times without going over. Then I'm going to multiply 6 times 8, which is 48, with a remainder of 2. Bring down my 0. This is 8's going to go into 20 about twice. 2 times 8 is 16, with a remainder of 4. Sorry, I'm running out of room here. Bring down my 0. 5. Excuse me. Now, number 9. If you started with 30 1/4 square feet of flooring and you used 28 1/2 square feet, how much would you have left? So, for example, let's just say you had 10 feet of flooring and you used 5 of it, you would have 5 left. 10 minus 5. Well, we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to say 30 1/4 minus 28 1/2. Excuse me. Okay, well, I'm going to need to convert these to improper fractions. I'm going to go ahead and find the common denominator of 1/2 first. I'm going to make that 28 and 2 over 4 and 30 and 1 over 4. Then I have to convert those, excuse me, to improper fractions. This is going to be 121 over 4, because 4 times 30 is 120 plus 1 is 121 over 4. 28 times 4 is going to be 114, plus 2 is 116 over 4, and we're still subtracting. And I'm going to double verify my math here to make sure I'm right. That's 112 plus 2. I'm sorry, that's 114. 114. I'm glad I checked. 114. Then we're simply going to subtract, and it'll be something over 4, which 121 minus 114 is 7. Then we're going to have to convert that back to an improper or proper or mixed number, excuse me. 4 will go into 7 one time, with a remainder of 3 over 4. And that is choice A. Number 10. Ellen draws a square that has a side measure that measures 35.2 millimeters. What is the perimeter of the square? A perimeter is the combination or the sum of the outside length. So if you had a 4 and the square has all 4 sides, you would say 4 plus 4 plus 4. 4 times 4 is 16. In this case, it is 35.2. So we would simply say 35.2 times 4. Get 8. And this is 20. Carry your 2. 12, 14. Move my decimal place over once. 140.8 millimeters, which is choice C. simplify the following expressions. Anytime we have a 2 outside of a parentheses like this, we have to distribute that 2 on the inside of it, like so. And then we can just combine like terms. So 2 times A is 2A. 2 times positive 2B is plus 2B. And then we just add all this other stuff here. Plus 4A plus 2B. Now we're just adding. So I can simply go from left to right, combining like terms. 2A plus 4A is 6A. I'm done with that guy. I'm done with that guy. 2B plus 2B is plus 4B. And that is choice A. Evaluate when x equals 2 and y equals 4. We're simply going to plug in the values here for x and for y. So, I'm going to say, and by the way, remember this negative 3 has to be distributed here. So you can either distribute that first, combine like terms first, and then plug in, or you can plug in first. I like to distribute first. It's entirely up to you how you want to do it. So what you're going to have is 5x plus y. I got to distribute that negative 3. Don't forget it's a negative 3. Negative 3 times 2x is negative 6x. Negative 3 times 3y is negative 9y. Okay? Excuse me. Now what I like to do is now combine like terms. That way I only have to plug a variable in one time. So I'm going to go from left to right combining like terms. 5x will combine with negative 6x. So 5 minus 6 is negative 1. Keep the variable. So we've got negative 1x, or just, I like to say negative x. That's the way you're supposed to say it. So we're done with that guy and we're done with that guy. Y minus 9y is minus 8y. And we're simply going to plug in the values. Negative 2. So I'm done with that. And negative 8 times y, which is negative 32, minus 32. Negative 2 minus 32 is negative 34b. Because I'm plugging the x in here, which is 2. Then I'm saying negative 8 times 4, which is negative 32. So what I'm end up with is negative 2 minus 32. If it's negative 2 degrees and it gets 32 degrees colder, the temperature is then going to be negative 32. Factor the following. What we're looking for here is the greatest common factor, or in other words, the biggest number that will go into both of them. The biggest number that will go into both of these is 6. Then you simply say 6 into 6y, which is y. 6 into 18, which is positive 3. And we've factored our problem. Choice D. Now if I'm going kind of fast for you, that's okay. That means all you have to do is go back and rewind it. Which expression represents the phrase the quotient of, that means we're going to divide. The quotient of what? The quotient of 2 more than 3 times a number and 5. So what if I said the quotient of 4 and 5? We would simply say 4 divided by 5. Well, in this case, we don't have that, though. We have the quotient of a bunch of stuff and 5. So we know that 5 is going to be on bottom. The quotient of 2 more than 3 times a number. 2 more than means plus 2. And we have that here, or here. But 3 times the number n. 3 times the number n is basically saying 3 times that number, or 3n, which we have here. The reason why B is not the answer is because we have a 5 on the outside of it. We didn't say anything about that. So if you take a look at A, that's the right answer. We have divided by 5, which is right here. We have that in all of them, though. But if you take a look at A, 2 more than, we have that there. 3 times the number n, we have that here. All divided by 5. Excuse me. In which equation does B have a value of 31? What you would simply do is plug in 31, unfortunately, to all of these and figure out which one is true. Okay, so for example, I'll do A. I don't know if that's the right answer, but I'll do A and see if that's correct. What it's saying is 12 times 31 minus 24 equals 12. Well, let's see if that's true. 31 times 12 is 372 minus 24. Okay, minus 24. $348 equals 12. Is that true? No, then we can eliminate choice A. And what you'll simply do is plug in 31 to all these values, and you've got some decimals there and so on, but you'll have to deal with those and see if which one's correct. Maria pays $30 a month for her cell phone bill, but she also pays an additional 10 cents for each text message she receives. If she has a phone bill of $55, how many texts did she send? So we know that her bill is $35, but we know $30 of that is the one-time service charge, in other words. So what you're going to do here is say 55 minus 30 equals 25. That's how much money she pays toward text messages. Well, if each text message is 10 cents a piece, all we simply do is divide 0.10 into $25 to figure out how many she sent. Now, but you're going to have to move this decimal over 2 places, and then you have to do the same thing on the inside. So basically what you've got is 10 into 2,500. How many times will 10 go into a 25? It'll go 2 times without going over. I got a 20 here. Forgive my handwriting here. I'm running out of room. Bring down my 0. That's 5. 0. So since 10 will go into 2,500 250 times, the answer is C. Now we have a 2-step equation, which we talked about in class. What's the first step in solving this equation? Well, remember, we have to do the opposite of each. In this case, we have to get rid of our plus 2. Okay? Well, remember, what we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So the first step in solving this equation, we got to get rid of, our goal, remember, is to get x by itself. We want it to say x equals something, x equals 10 or whatever. Okay? First thing we got to do is get rid of our positive 2. The best way to do that is to subtract 2, but we have to do that to both sides, which is choice B. If this were 5x minus 2 equals 24, for example, the first step would be to add 2 to both sides. And then, of course, we would divide both sides by 5, but we'll get into that later. Rebecca has $26 to spend on school supplies. After buying a notebook for $3.50 and 8 pens of equal cost, she had $16.18 left. Write an equation that represents the money that Rebecca spent. Okay. So she had $25 to spend. So basically what we're saying is she bought a notebook for $3.50, and she bought 8 pens for equal cost. So if every pen was $1, for example, you would have something like this: 8 times the price of the pens. Okay. I believe I've got a typo here, so I may have to come back. Bear with me one second. If you remember, this is the ones we skipped. I think we skipped it because there was a typo. So bear with me one quick second. I mean, I guess I'm going to throw out this problem because I don't like the way it's written. Because if you subtract $16.18 from $26, you'll get $9.18, which is basically how much she spent. And what we're saying is $3.50 plus 8 pens times the price of each pen gives us that amount. I don't like the way this is worded, so I'm going to give you another problem like this. But you can see basically what you would end up doing is saying $26 minus this amount right here, $3.50, because that's the price of one notebook, plus 8p, the price of each pen. You could do it that way. I don't like how that problem's worded. I'm going to throw that one out. 1.3 minus 5.2. Remember, if we have a subtraction problem we don't like, we can keep, change, and flip. That way we can sing that song we taught you at the beginning of the year. So 1.3 plus a negative. Remember, adding a negative is the same thing as subtracting. Is this same signs add and keep, or is it different signs subtract? It is different signs subtract because this is a positive. So I'm going to say 5.2 minus 1.3, which is going to give me, this is 12. This becomes a 4. Bring my decimal down. We're going to keep the sign of the farthest number, negative 3.9. If you're having a hard time with that, remember, watch video 1 and video A. Okay. Shelly wants to purchase video games online. Each video game costs $19.99. The entire order for shipping is $9.99. She has no more than $100 to spend. What is the greatest number of video games she can purchase? So basically what you're going to have to do is take the shipping cost out of the equation to see how much money you can actually buy on CDs. If you buy one CD, it's $9.99. If you buy 100, it's $9.99. So we're going to subtract $9.99, which is going to give you $90.01 to spend on CDs. Well, now I've got to divide that by $19.99. Well, I can't divide by $19.99. I've got to divide by $1,999 into 9,001. Remember to carry my decimal place up. This is going to go in here about 4 times. Let's multiply it back to make sure we're correct. This is 6, carry by 3. 36, 39, carry my 3. 4 times 9 is 36, carry my, that's 9. I believe I'm right on this. Let's see, that's 11, and so on. You're going to get 4 point something, something, something. And for the sake of time, I'm going to stop it there. I believe the answer is 4.2 something. It doesn't matter, though. Because can I buy the 5th video game? No, I can't. I don't have enough money. I do not have enough money to buy the 5th. So if I got 4.98, I would still have to round down to 4 because I don't have enough money for the 5th video game. Okay. So imagine for a second that if you had $9, and the pens that you like are $2 a piece. How many can you buy? All right. This will go in here 4 times. This is 8. Remainder of 1, carry down my 2, and this is 4.5. Well, how many pens can you buy? You can only buy 4 because you don't have enough money for the 5th pen, and that's what we're doing here with a little bit bigger numbers. At a school dance, 3/8 of the students were 7th graders. What is the decimal equivalent to 3/8? 3/8 is a fraction less than 1, so obviously our answer is not going to be C and D. Those are over 1. And the 3/8 is not 0.38. But I'm just going to, what you end up having to do is if you don't have this fraction memorized, you simply have to divide the 3 by the 8. Put the top dog in the house. Sorry, I'm running out of room here. Bring down my 0. You're simply going to divide the top by the bottom to get the decimal equivalent. The answer is A. There are 180 students registered at soccer camp. Of those registered, 35 are 7th graders. How many of the students registered are in the 7th grade? Basically, if you have 35%, you have to multiply the amount that you're looking at by the decimal equivalent to the percent. In this case, we're going to move the decimal place over any decimal, or sorry, any percentage. We move the decimal place over twice for its decimal equivalent. So what we're going to do here is multiply 180 times 0.35. Okay, we've got 0, 0, carry my 4, that's 9. Put in my placeholder here 0. 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times 8 is 24, carry my 2. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5. So we're going to add those up, 0, 0, 3, 6. Move my decimal place over twice, 63. Simplify. Well, we're going to go from left to right, combining like terms. I can combine the 4x with the negative 6x, which is negative 2x. If you're having trouble with your integer rules, watch video 1 and video A. We're done with that guy, and we're done with that guy. Negative 6 plus 3 is negative 3. Again, if you're having trouble with those integer rules, watch video 1 and video A. The answer is B. The temperature one morning in Canton was negative 16 degrees. By the afternoon, the temperature had risen 18 degrees. What was the temperature in the afternoon? So ask yourself, what is negative 16 plus 18? You'll realize that the answer is 2. And by the way, this should be a positive 2 here. Or if you don't remember that, you can simply say this is an addition problem. We're going to say same signs, add and keep, or different signs, subtract. Are these the same signs or are they different signs? Well, this is a negative, this is a positive, so the different signs we're going to subtract. We're going to say 18 minus 16. Again, watch video 1 and video A. The answer is 2. We're going to take the sign of the farthest number. Which one is farthest from 0, 18 or negative 16? On a number line, 18 is farthest, so we're going to say positive 2. The new temperature is C, positive 2. Jason's on the surface of his mother's houseboat, 12 feet above the water. His brother's scuba diving 18 feet. How far apart are they? The answer here is going to be 29 feet. You can either draw a picture or you can simply say 12 minus 8, negative 17, because we're going to say the difference, and almost always is indicated by subtraction, and his elevation is negative 17 feet. Minusing a negative is always adding, so you have 29. Again, watch video 1 and video A if you're having a hard time with that. The Falcons lost 5 yards on the first play. In the next game, 17. What was the net result? Same signs, add and keep, different signs, subtract. These are different signs. We're going to say 17 minus 5 is 12. I'm going to take the sign of the farthest number. This one's farthest from 0 on a number line, so it's positive. So read the problem, create a number sentence, and then go by the song. Each lap around a football field is 2 3/8 miles long. Mike walked 2.5 laps. How many total miles did he travel? This is one of those situations where I told you to enter in easier numbers to help you make sense. If you have each lap around a football field is 2 miles long and you walked 4 laps, you would simply multiply 2 times 4 and get 8. Well, we're going to do no different here, except the numbers are a little bit harder to deal with. We're going to say 2 3 over 8 times 2 1 over 2. I've got to convert this to improper fraction. So 8 times 2 is 16 plus 3 is 19, and keep our denominator, times 5 over 2. 2 times 2 plus 1 is 5. Our bottom is going to be 16 because 8 times 2 is 16. We don't have to find a common denominator. 19 times 5 is 95. Let me check my math on that. Yes, 95. And then we simply have to turn this back into a mixed number. So we're going to put 95 in the house, 16 on the outside. This is going to go in here, I believe, about 4 or 5 times. Remainder of 5 over 16. Oop, I'm sorry, this is 80. Forgive me. This is 80, I'm sorry. And a remainder of 15. This is going to be 5 and 15 over 16. So 16 will go into 95 about 5 times. 5 times 16 is 80. We get our remainder. We put our remainder over our original denominator, which is 16. The answer is 5 and 15 over 16. Again, if you're having trouble converting fractions or improper fractions into mixed numbers, I need you to watch video 1 and video A. So pens are on sale for 79 cents a piece. Tamara's going to buy as many as she can with $13.50. How many pens can she buy? Guess what? You're not going to get an exactly even number. Remember, if you get a decimal, you have to kind of round down. You can't divide by 0.79. You have to divide by 79. What I do to the inside, I have to do to the outside. So I'm going to have 1,350 here. And so on. Okay. $79 can't go into 1 or 13. But it can go into 135 about once. 79. I'm going to get my remainder. I believe it's 56. Let's see. 6. That makes it a 2. Bring down my 0. This is going to go in there about 7 times, I think. Let's try that out. 49, 55, 55. Remainder of 7, bring down my 0. This will go in here 0 times, and so on and so forth. So you're going to get an answer something like 17.0, I think it was 9 or 8 or something like that, ... But it doesn't matter at this point. I want to know how many pens I can buy, and the answer is 17. I don't have enough money for this 18th pen. And you do that by simply dividing the price, the amount of money that you have by the sale price. So, for example, if you had $10 and the shirts that you wanted were $2, how many could you buy? 10 divided by 2 is 5. You do the same thing here. A fish is at negative 220 feet, and it dives 75 feet deeper. This is indicated by deeper. You're going to go down. If you go through the math and do this, it's negative 295 feet. Video 1 and video A. And here we're simply going to multiply. We're multiplying a negative times a negative, so we know the answer is going to be positive. So I can actually eliminate 2 answers here. 3 over 4 times, what is that, 6 over 5 equals 18 over 20, which equals 9 over 10. Answer is D.